What's up everyone, the Sonic fan here, and man, what a time to be a Sonic fan, am I right? I know it's starting to get a little old saying that, but it's true. We got a fantastic mainline game, the movies have been awesome, the comics are thriving, the shows are buzzing, we're being fed. However, of all the things to come from this lovely renaissance, the biggest course correction that has me happy personally is the direction of the story and characters. Everything in the 2010s, Sonic Colors, Generations, Lost World, and especially Forces suffer from nonsensical writing, blatant character assassinations, and a clear stubbornness to refuse to take anything seriously and lace everything with terrible meta-comedy. Fortunately, with Big Dick Ian Flynn now doing the writing, these characters whom we love, cherish, and have grown up with have been restored to their rightful selves, and now we can get attached to these new stories being told. And look, I'm sure Pontac and Graf are good people, and I don't think personal attacks are warranted or deserved in the slightest. Especially since they didn't even do the main writing, they simply just handled the localization. There's just two people who want to write fun stories for Sonic the Hedgehog, and fans didn't like the contributions. It doesn't get any deeper than that. With that said, while the meta-era writing was certainly bad, what if I were to tell you that there were some exceptions? That even through the never-ending pile of shit, there exist a few snippets of gold. Well, in this case, I'd say bronze. Not every character in the 2010s like Tails and Knuckles was represented poorly, and today, I think it'll be fun to highlight some of them and find something positive to talk about in what I consider a true dark age of Sonic. Before we do so, if you still happen to be a returning viewer, why not subscribe, and turn notifications to be alerted when a new Sonic video drops. Also, if you enjoy, leave a like because that helps a ton. Alright, let's get started, shall we? Kicking off this list, we have Dr. Eggman. I'm sure everyone expected this guy to make it onto the list because in truth, Robotnik is a very hard character to mess up. Don't get me wrong, it takes a talented and passionate writer to make him intriguing and compelling like what we see in the movies and Ian's writing. But as far as nailing his noble characteristics and motivations, it's honestly a pretty simple task. Dr. Eggman is a narcissistic mastermind who wants to be recognized and seen as the greatest person to ever grace the earth. He's full of self-grandeur and wants to conquer the world and make it in his image. A goal he'd be more than capable of achieving if that pesky blue hedgehog wasn't around. Throughout the 2010 games, our favorite intelligent conqueror remains pretty consistent and is usually a highlight in each story he makes an appearance in. He's funny, he's a threat, he's just Eggman. However, I think the one contribution that really elevates Eggman in this era is Mike Pollock's iconic performance. This will always be the greatest Eggman voice to me personally, and in every game, he absolutely gives it his all and turns out a great performance. It's kinda crazy, while every character is bogged down by it, Eggman actually makes the cheesy dialogue he's given work, and most of it is really in character for him. I also really appreciate how in Lost World, there was an attempt to maybe humanize this guy a bit when he unnecessarily saves Tails and Sonic in the same game. Was this Eggman showing compassion to his two nemesises, or did he simply want the devs to be by his hands alone? In his own words, he's a complicated guy. Yeah, I don't think there was ever a point in Sonic's history where Robotnik was misrepresented or butchered because like I said, he's a character who's really hard to get wrong, and that's why he's on this list. To say my next pick is going to be controversial would be a little bit of an understatement, but hear me out. My next pick is Shadow the Hedgehog. I know, the dark, brooding hero who has a tragic past but a kind and vulnerable heart has been degraded to an over-edgy, one-note Vegeta clone. I don't like Shadow's butchering any more than you do. But was this specifically a 2010s problem? Let's take a look at all of the mainline games that Shadow appeared in. He was completely absent in Colors and Lost World, had one line in Generations which was his first debut in the meta era aside from certain ports and portable spin-offs, and played a heavy role in Forces. In Generations, Shadow appears along with the rest of Sonic's fans to give him support by saying, "You got this, Sonic." While a simple line in a vacuum, this one sentence Shadow gets in Generations is very much in character to the Ultimate Lifeform. Nowadays, Shadow would probably be like, "Make yourself useful and get up," or "I can't believe I'm saying this, but you can win," or something else passive-aggressive along those lines. But no, it's a very simple and supportive, "You got this." Something Shadow from the 2000s would most definitely say to support his friend. So if his character not being ruined in Generations, what about Forces? Well, sit down, because of all of Forces' faults, it actually got Shadow right. Here, he's a dark, brooding anti-hero, and yes, while he can be a little blunt with his wording, he's not rude, egotistical, or overly edgy. He's just a gun agent on a mission who then teams up with Sonic without any complaints to take down unnecessary evil. I actually really like Shadow in Forces. He's cooperative, he's straightforward, he's tactical, and he even has some fun, snarky lines here and there. Some say him berating Infinite and calling him worthless is out of character, but I don't really think so. While Shadow isn't arrogant, he has a little bit of an ego, and rightfully so due to how powerful he is. So when some no-name mercenary tries to take him on, Shadow just simply disregards him, calls him pathetic, and moves on, not knowing that would nearly lead to the end of the road. Yeah, Forces nailed this character. And I don't think the 2010s ruined him off rip such as characters like Tails and Amy. No, I think 2019 specifically ruined Shadow. The release of Team Sonic Racing. I still think this is a fun, overlooked game, but holy shit, Shadow is obnoxious in its story. Everything that can be wrong with him is present. He's a fucking douche, has an ego the size of Mount Everest, has a weird obsession with surpassing Sonic, and is so edgy you can cut yourself on him. This is just not Shadow, and don't get me started on how he's represented in IDW. I don't know what year we got the "cowards run, I win" line, but yikes. What sucks is I'm not even sure if Shadow will ever return to his former glory again. With the dumb mandate Sega has on certain characters, there's nothing writers like Ian Flynn can do, so Shadow may continue being stuck like this. I'll only hope for the true Ultimate Life Form to return or alternative stories like Prime in the movies. A man can only dream. Still, I think for the most part, the 2010s got Shadow right. At least right until the very, very end. Next up is Silver the Hedgehog, whom a lot of people don't think of, but if they do, we realize he's been a pretty consistent character since his debut in 06. This time-traveling hedgehog originated as the light in the darkness, a beacon of hope who had a lot of optimism and innocence, as well as being an outright dork. At the end of 06, despite all of time being stopped into the brink of its end, Silver is still a fighter and has faith that there's a way to win. How can you not love this guy? I'll tell you how. If you're Sega and you rushed out a game resulting in it being a disaster, instead of blaming it on time management and deadlines, you blame it on every creative decision inside the game, including its new original character. Yeah, after that, Silver got the bench and hasn't played an important role in any game after. But that's not to say his character has been ruined, no, far from it. In Forces, just like Shadow, the game got him right. He's a calm, optimistic, and hopeful character who will stand for what's right despite all odds. His confrontation of Infinite is a shining example of this, and pitting someone who uses fear and intimidation as a weapon against someone who's always hopeful and optimistic is just genius, and this could have really amounted to something had the fight not been 20 seconds long. And in Team Sonic Racing, what else is there to say? Silver is that positive, very much naive dork we all know and love. I see some people complain his dorkiness and good vibes are hammed up nowadays a little too much, but I personally don't think it detracts from his character. Yeah, Silver, much like Eggman, is a character who survived the metaverse and has always been enjoyable. And yet, another character whom I think that applies to is Amy Rose. You might disagree, but just hear me out. Amy has come a long way as a character. In Sonic CD, she was this young, innocent girl who had the major hots for Sonic and wound up as an obsessed stalker. However, in Adventure 1, we see something very interesting happen. Amy goes from an obsessive personality and realizes she needs to have more respect for herself and be independent. Sure, she still loves Sonic, but instead of chasing after him, she was going to win him over in a more natural, non-one-sided way. And sure, her character has some slight regression in Adventure 2, and some major aggression in Heroes, but even through that, there was always more to Amy than just her crush on Sonic. She's her own person. She is unbelievably kind, cares for everything around her, and is passionate about pretty much everything. She's also very capable on her own and has a certain degree of rationale and creativity. That brings us to the 2010s, and yes, Amy's character had regressed all the way back to CD and Generations, and she lost everything that made her special. But after 2011, she sees a major turn-up in Lostville where she's very kind and supportive of her friends, and this is the same in Forces where alongside Knuckles, she's strategizing with the team, offering valuable suggestions, and has positivity basically radiating off of her. In Team Sonic Racing, she's at her best for the first time since 06. I think the main problem with 2010's Amy is the fact she was given nothing to do and played no integral role in any story going forward. However, something notable here is the fact that Boom Amy was a thing, an alternate variant that's ironically probably the best the character has ever been. Yeah, the meta era with the exception of Generations did a very serviceable job with this character. And finally, the last pick on this list is the blue blood himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. Before you bring out your pitchforks, let me explain. Is Sonic annoying in the meta era? A little, yeah. Is he over quippy and never shuts up? Yeah, I'd say so. But does that mean his character was ruined? No, I don't think that's the case. Sonic is just like Eggman, where yes, it does take a talented and passionate writer to make him interesting, but it doesn't take a lot to get his core fundamental character traits right. Sonic is a cocky, energetic, laid-back hero who's all about freedom and opposes tyranny. He has the mindset of an immature 15-year-old, but there's a reason he's a hero. And yeah, no, the 2010s know that. I never found Sonic to be insufferable during the meta era. Lacking depth or relatability? Oh yes. But insufferable? Not at all. He's just fine. He's fun in Colors, even though that's where he's at his worst in terms of obnoxious quips. He's fun in Generations, Lost World. He's actually pretty likable in Forces. God, why have I been forced to compliment this game so much? And he's alright in Team Sonic Racing. In all these depictions is he ruined, out of character, or insufferable, he's just fine. He's Sonic. So yeah, those are the 5 characters who I think the 2010s era Sonic got right, and yeah, this was fun. If you're familiar with this channel, you should know by now that I like to look for the good and bad things, and there was a lot of good in the meta era, which for the most part was horrible. I am glad though that we're in a new age of Sonic where all the characters on this list, except for Shadow unfortunately, will undoubtedly be vastly improved going forward with more competent writers. And I can't wait. With that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, then please like, subscribe, and as always, I will see you guys next time. Peace out.